who will come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1.
Line drive to the base hit. Justice has scored the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines. They sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Racket throws. There's a lead back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick, you'll have to brush them with your faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings long drive left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Here's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. It's hit goodbye. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, are you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of the program. I am indeed your host, Dan Scott. Good to have you with us on a wet and rainy and all of the other kind of blah type of terms you could use for a Monday. And it's going to be like this all day long and for a good portion of the day tomorrow as well, if the weather forecasters are correct. But we will do our best to get you through it, try to provide you a little bit of a lift, and see if we can't learn something by the time the show is all said and done today. Brett Harker is going to join us via phone coming up at 10:25. Normally, he would be more toward the end of the week, a Thursday-type visit heading into a weekend, but under the circumstances, thought it would be very prudent if he was willing to do so to get him on via phone today, and he readily agreed. If you have not heard, last night there was an incident with the bus on the way back from Lexington, Virginia, that can only be described, I guess, accurately as a near tragedy, but thank God that it wasn't. Now, it's one of the few trips over the years that I did not ride the bus. I was actually driving the trip yesterday. I was not on the bus, but Brett texted me and a handful of other people shortly after the incident happened to tell us about it, show us some pictures, which you are going to see later on, and let us know that everybody was okay. Also singing the praises of Richard, the bus driver from Gene's Bus Company, because of his ability to handle that thing and keep it from flipping over, which would have been serious, if not tragic. So it was a miraculous end to a near tragic situation. And all I can tell you about it is what Brett told me on the phone yesterday, said that God's hand was on them and that Richard, the bus driver, literally may have saved more than one life by the way he handled that bus. We'll let Brett tell you the entire story coming up at 10:25, and we'll also sneak in a little baseball talk. I'll talk about the series coming up that we just finished with VMI coming up in the next segment a little bit. So I want Brett to focus as much as possible on what happened last night on the way home, and then, as I said, we'll get a little baseball in with him as well. But it's one of those things that puts things into perspective. A couple of losses don't seem nearly as bad when you go through something like that, and I can only join him and everybody else on that bus and saying thank the good Lord that it ended the way it did, because blowing out a tire on a bus going, I'm assuming, 70 miles an hour down Interstate 81 could have been a tragic situation. I'm not trying to blow it up. I'm not trying to give it any hyperbole to get you to listen to Brett when he comes on. I'm just telling you the straight facts. Any vehicle traveling that speed on an interstate, but especially a bus having a tire blowout like that, it could have been an awful situation, and thank God that it was not. Brett will be with us at 10:25. Also, coming up in the latter portion of the program, I want to expand on something that I've talked a little bit about already this season and spent some time on in the broadcast on Saturday up at Lexington, Virginia, and that is this Southern Conference rule that if a baseball head coach or player, assistant coach, anybody in baseball is ejected from a game, they are immediately suspended for the next game. And how that rule is applied, how it should be applied, should it even be on the books? I think you know my answer to that, and I'm going to talk about it and tell you why and equate it to something that happened in the series this weekend up at VMI. Outside of that, we've got some other news and notes. Hopefully we'll have some time to get to. The NFL draft is this weekend, and I know there are players from the state of South Carolina. There are players from right here on this campus. Matthew Schmidt, the center for the Paladins, is hoping to get the call. He has been working out, and if you've been paying attention to Furman's social media, to his social media, There's been a blitz of film that's put out there showing his run blocking, his pass blocking, the fact that he had not allowed a sack, or did not allow a sack since 2015. That's going back quite a ways. So the draft is something that we'll spend some time on and see what else we can get into as we go on through the course of the day. But the highlight of the program is going to be the conversation that we'll have with Furman's Brett Harker. The show, as always, is brought to you by the Atlanta Bread Company, located in Cherrydale Plaza in just down the campus, down the road from campus here in Greenville. They have fantastic food. In days like this, man, this is a good hot soup day, isn't it? When it's raining and it's cold and it's windy, you want to go in and get some hot soup or maybe a hot sandwich. They have several hot sandwiches and paninis on the menu, and obviously a bevy of hot drinks as well. And then later on in the week, when it's up in the upper 70s, low 80s, it'll be time for something a little bit lighter. The thing is, they've got it all for you there: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And as great as the menu is, the people are even better. I love spending time there. Jeff Massey and his staff do such a phenomenal job. And thank them when you go in for what they do for this program. Tell them you heard about them on the show, and thank them for their sponsorship. That's the Atlanta Bread Company in Cherrydale Plaza, right down the road from campus here. Let's step out for our first break. We'll come back, and we'll talk some on-the-field baseball from over the weekend, including a look at where the SoCon standings are at the moment. This is the Dan Scott Show, and we'll return after this. Don't go away.
Holding, number 79, defense, first down. I'm also holding a party tonight.
Great call by the official. Looks like we've got another flag on the field.
Holding, a Pepsi. Necessary refreshment.
Hey, Ted, bring some of that Pepsi to my party.
Pepsi and the NFL. Welcome to the Fun Doesn't End Zone.
The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville. When the Furman baseball team goes on the road, it travels safely, comfortably, and with the latest technology with Jeans Tours and Charters. Jeans has been a Furman favorite for decades and has serviced Furman baseball for over 20 years. Take it from head coach Brett Harker. Book your next road trip with Jeans. Jeans Tours and Charters, online at jeansbussvc.com or call 864-242-1673. Jeans Tours and Charters, servicing the upstate since 1980.
If you've been sidelined by an injury, the St. Francis Sports Medicine team is here 24/7 to get you back on the field. Our highly trained network of physicians, athletic trainers, and physical therapists treat all types of sports-related injuries, even those that don't occur from playing a sport. Call the St. Francis Hurt Line at 675-HU-RT for priority appointments or at-home advice. Again, that's 675-HU-RT.
All right, welcome back to the show. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us as we continue here on this Monday, kind of wrapping up the weekend and looking ahead to what else is coming up. There are other things going on campus, and right out of the gates, I want to make sure that I say congratulations to Adam Herendeen and his women's tennis program, who won their second consecutive Southern Conference championship over the weekend. They downed ETSU yesterday by a 4-1 count to win that second consecutive title. And to that end, Adam Herendeen is going to be with us on the show on Thursday morning at 10:25. Sophomore Katarina Kazarov, who was the 2018 Southern Conference Player of the Year, won at Flight 1 singles. That clinched the winning point, and top-seeded Furman beat second-seed ETSU 4-1 in Chattanooga yesterday. Second straight 18th overall, and Furman now holds a 13-match winning streak, and that earns them the automatic bid to the NCAA championships, which will begin on campus sites on May 11th and 12th. They will learn their opponent during a live selection show at 5 p.m. on May the 1st. So congratulations to the Furman women's tennis team, and they have secured their second consecutive SoCon title. And again, on Thursday, Adam Herendeen is going to be here on campus to join us. So we're looking forward to that. Elsewhere, as we look at what transpired in the Southern Conference over the weekend, baseball-wise, the big series in the conference was UNCG and Samford. Samford had forged its way to the top of the conference in the early part of the season and had done it by and large on pitching and basically shutting down everybody they come across. So it was going to be interesting to see this matchup because of the way they pitch and the way UNCG hits. Well, UNCG swept the series, and in doing so, vaults to the top of the standings with an overall conference record of 10-2 and 29-10 overall in the season. Wofford swept the Citadel this weekend, and now they're just a game behind UNCG at 9-3. Samford now in third at 10-5, and then the VMI team that took 2 out of 3 from Furman this weekend is sitting in fourth place at 9-6. Mercer is 8-7 in fifth. Then comes ETSU, who played out of conference at Tulane this weekend. They are 5-7. Furman is 4-8. The Citadel is 3-9, and Western Carolina is 2-13. And I keep saying this, it's just unfathomable and hard to believe. It's even hard to say these words, but the Catamounts are 4-34 on the season. It has been just an incredible year, and not in a good way for Bobby Miranda's team. Furman and the Citadel, of course, play this weekend, and with 4 conference series to play, there's still some room to move up the standings, of course, for Brett Harker's team. But judging strictly by where they are in the standings right now, this series with the Citadel takes on some importance because, as you know, the 8th and 9th place teams in the league open the Southern Conference Tournament with a play-in game on Tuesday, a one-and-done for somebody, and the winner of that game then goes into the double elimination 8-team bracket that begins on Wednesday. So you want to stay out of that 8-9 game if possible. I really believe Furman is going to be climbing the ladder, and I'll explain some of that why a little bit later on. But just looking at the reality of the moment, 1 game ahead of the Citadel and a 3-game series in Charleston coming up this weekend. So it's going to be an important series, but then they're all important, aren't they? And that's the way you should look at it anyway. Over this past weekend, Paladins lost 2 out of 3 to VMI, and I get a chuckle out of some people who obviously don't follow with any degree of regularity or at all what is going on with other teams in the conference. They have a mindset sometimes that is firmly ensconced back in the early part of the 2000s or even earlier, when VMI was a team that regularly got thrashed, throttled, beaten by everybody coming and going. That is not the case. Jonathan Hadra, who is a VMI alum, in his 4th season with the Keydets, has built this into a pretty good baseball program. And they are a senior-laden team. right now. Upperclassman-laden team. They ran the same lineup out every game, same batting order, all 3 games this weekend. 5 seniors, 2 juniors, a sophomore, and a freshman were their starting 9 position players, or the DH, if you will. And then on the mound, they ran out, I believe, 2 juniors and a sophomore. So this is a good team. They are a team that all these guys that are upperclassmen now played regularly as freshmen and took their lumps, and they have blossomed into guys that can flat out hit the baseball and hit it a long way and hit it with regularity. And we saw that up close and personal this week. If you make mistakes, like many good teams, or all good teams really, they're going to make you pay for them. And in their small ballpark, a park that plays even smaller than the listed dimensions, they can jump on you in a hurry, and the Paladins saw that up close and personal in the first 2 games of the series. Both of those games followed a similar pattern. They were close games into the middle innings, and then the wheels fell off. VMI scored 9 runs in the 6th inning on Friday night to go on to a 12-1 win, scored 8 runs in the 5th inning on Saturday afternoon to go on to a 13-7 win, and then it was Furman who turned the tables and scored 9 runs in the 2nd inning yesterday and 6 in the 3rd, while getting excellent pitching, first from John Michael Bertrand and from Tyler Kimbrell, who closed it out in the final 2 innings of a 7-inning Mercy Rule shortened game. So the Paladins got out of town winning 1 of those 3 games and finished the week 2-2 overall, and come into another big week. And then they seem to get bigger as the season gets later because the number of games decreases. Hard to believe there are 14 games remaining in this regular season for the Paladins. Yesterday was the 40th game. The schedule is 2 games short of the 56-game limit. 54 games on the schedule. Only 14 remain, and 4 of those will be eaten up by the time this weekend is done. Tomorrow night against South Carolina at Fluor Field, which is the annual versus cancer game. The players have been raising money for that organization and will get their heads shaved on top of the dugout, the first base dugout, after the game tomorrow night. And then 3 at the Citadel this weekend. Doubleheader on Saturday and a single game on Sunday. Exams are playing a role in that. The exams start on Thursday of this week, so no game Friday. They'll play 2 Saturday and 1 Sunday. It was a mixed bag over the weekend because there were some good moments inside even the 2 losses. And Jordan Beatson's final line is not going to be indicative of how well the kid pitched moving into the 5th inning on Saturday. He had thrown 47 pitches through 4 innings, had only allowed the 1 run or 2 runs, I believe, and was throwing the ball really, really well. And then when he gave up the 2-run home run, they got him out, and the bullpen just the rest of that inning, quite honestly, just call it like it is, fell apart. They didn't get the job done. But that happens from time to time. But I really think that kind of lost in all of everything that took place in that inning and in that game, Jordan Beatson's performance prior to that in those first 4 innings was very, very good. And this kid's a walk-on freshman, and he has been one of the most impressive stories that has developed on this season for this team so far, and he has made himself an important part of this pitching staff. We're still waiting for everybody to get healthy and everything to come together all at once. And with 4 weeks remaining as far as conference weekends go, then now's the time for that to start happening. And there's still time with that for this team to get cranked up and be playing its best baseball going into the tournament like they did a year ago. Let's hope that's the case and see what happens, get the injured guys back. The other thing that I saw in the lineup this weekend, Brandon Elmy starting to swing the bat, Landon Kay continuing to get it going a little more and a little more and a little more and hitting more and more balls hard. He had a good weekend at the plate. Jabari Richards started 2 of the 3 games, and he had a good weekend. So there are some things that are coming, and it's just a matter of getting everything clicking at the right time. And through 40 games, they haven't done that. They've not gotten the pitch. They have not gotten, he said, the pitching, the defense, and the offense all playing well at the same time. And the teams that can do that, obviously, are the ones that are going to have the best chance to win the conference tournament. The Paladins have to get that rolling, and they've got 4 conference weekends remaining to get everybody healthy and to get back and get rolling. So we'll see what happens. Begins with the next to last out-of-conference game of the season, the midweek game this week against South Carolina. And after that, there's only one more midweek game, and that's Gardner-Webb in a couple of weeks here at Latham Stadium. All right, we'll go to break. We'll come back, and Brett Harker joins us on the other side. This is the Dan Scott Show. Quick word before we step out about our friends at Ridge Media. They are the ones who are putting together the DanScottShow.com website. One-stop shop based in Greenville, also with an office in Charleston. Locally owned marketing firm that does logo, print, and website design, as well as search engine optimization and marketing. And their clients range from startups like mine to Fortune 500 companies. Call today, get a free consultation, find out how they can do for you what they're doing for me. That is Ridge Media LLC at 864-354-6175, 864-354-6175. All right, to that break, and we'll come back. Brett Harker joins us on the other side. This is the Dan Scott Show. Don't go away.
Hey, Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
Life's healthier when you're backed by a Greenville Health System primary care doctor. Because then, the doctor that has your back is backed by the more than 1,000 physicians and specialists at the region's leading health system, all working together to bring you the right care in the right place at the right time. Great health starts with a GHS primary care doctor, and there are more than 200 of them conveniently located throughout the upstate, ready to see you. Find yours today at ghs.org/mydoctor.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. It is 10:23. I am Dan Scott on a wet, rainy, windy, kind of chilly Monday here in the upstate of South Carolina. I hope that your day is going well. I would hazard a guess to say that the day is going well for Brett Harker and everyone else who was on the Furman team bus last night on the way home from Lexington, Virginia, because they are here. They're back on campus. The players are in class this morning, and there were a few fleeting moments when it looked like that may not be the case yesterday. As mentioned, it's one of the few trips in my 7 years here that I was not on the bus. I can't really speak exactly to what happened, but the guy who can is joining us here. He is Brett Harker, the head coach of the Furman baseball team. Brett, I asked this with all seriousness, but knowing the answer. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Happy to be home with my family and enjoying an off day, and happy that Lord had his hand over our bus, and pumped to be able to be building forts with my 5-year-old daughter and watching little Dick Van Dyke, because you know, it was just a scary moment, and happy to be home with my family. For sure.
Kind of puts a couple of losses this weekend into perspective, doesn't it?
It does, man. And you know, it's sad that it takes some scary moments to put things in perspective, but sometimes that's how the Lord works, and just makes you realize how much you love your guys, and how much bigger than just baseball scores that what we do on a day-to-day basis. You know, it just puts everything in perspective.
Well, before we spend a few minutes at the end talking about baseball, let's get to this. The game ends, players all shower, you guys hit the bus. I mean, it's a routine. Everything in baseball travel is a routine. I tell people all the time when I travel, whether it's baseball or basketball or whatever, all I have to do is be at the hotel, be on the bus, be at the ballpark, and follow the time schedule. So you slip into a routine. It becomes kind of mundane. Sometimes you don't even think about what you're doing because it's such a routine. So from that standpoint, it was just another normal getaway day, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, you know, we weren't even planning on stopping to eat. We had some subs on the bus. It's just a long ride home. That's our longest ride of the year. And guys got exams starting tomorrow, so I was trying to get them home as quickly as possible. So we showered and got on the bus. And, you know, with today's buses, you got Wi-Fi, you got, you know, satellite TVs going. You very rarely are actually paying attention to what's in front of you. And we were about 30 minutes away from Lexington, Virginia, which, as you guys know, is basically all mountains and very narrow roads, even the highways. And I looked down at my phone for a second to look at a text, and I heard an explosion up underneath us. And about that time, I really didn't know what had happened. The top cabinet above us opened, and I got hit in the head with a can falling down. So I really didn't know what happened. I didn't know if the window had blown out, and then I realized that our tire had blew, and we went from the right-hand lane instantly into the left-hand lane going down the highway, you know, probably 65, 70 miles an hour. Thank God there was nobody in the left-hand lane, or else they would have been gone. And instantly went from the left-hand lane off the road, and we slid for about 100 yards while the bus driver was trying to keep it from flipping the entire time, had a death grip on the steering wheel, trying to veer it back right because we were heading for an embankment. And I remember looking at the two coaches. I sit on the second row, unlike most head coaches, just because I simply get car sick if I sit on the front row. So I was looking at my assistant coaches, and their feet were up trying to figure out which way they were going to jump when it tipped. And I looked to the side, and there's a player on the ground. He had got thrown. I looked back. There was players being thrown left and right. And we're skidding the whole time. And you're sitting there looking at this embankment, just knowing that we're about to flip because we couldn't get the bus stopped in time. And our bus driver, Richard, ends up somehow steering it just enough right to where we just clip the embankment. We actually take a piece of the embankment out, and it rips off the side of our bus, but he's able to keep it from flipping. And man, oh man, it shook pretty good. Thankfully, I mean, some guys got tossed around, some guys hit their heads on up, but as of right now, you know, nothing serious. And it was a surreal moment. I've just spent thousands upon thousands of hours on buses over the years, and just never had anything like that happen. As a matter of fact, the owner of Gene said in 38 years, that's only their second front tire to ever go. It's just such a dangerous thing. It just never happens.
Yeah.
Typically, if they blow, it's a back tire in which you have two tires in the back so you don't lose control. But, I mean, our bus driver, Richard, just did an unbelievable job of keeping that bus upright and, you know, saving us from a very, very serious situation.
You told me last night, you said you were not exaggerating. You think he probably saved a couple of lives.
You just don't know what's going to happen. If that thing flips, you know, you're in big trouble. You got 35 people in there, and you're going down the highway. And if that thing flips, we're in trouble. And, you know, why I keep saying the Lord just had his hand on us. If you look, that was literally the only place that we would have had room off to the left. Anywhere else, there's just drop-offs. And anywhere else, we would have went to the side of a, you know, either off a hill or to the side of a hill and flipped up. And, man, oh, man, it was a scary moment. But thankfully everybody's all right. And and just cannot speak highly enough of our bus driver Richard at Jeans and the job he did when all that was going down.
Brett Harker joining us on the show. Brett, as you're talking, the pictures that you posted on Twitter last night, I've taken and put into a slideshow so people are seeing a little bit of what happened in these still shots and trying to give a perspective, especially the one from back looking to where the bus is from behind, at how far that bus actually skidded, and then the front shot of the left front fender of the bus being just up on that embankment. Just looking at the pictures, you're right. Another 5 or 10 feet in motion toward that embankment, we're talking about a different story.
Yeah, we are. And it's just, the perspective, I mean, I got a lot more pictures of everything he avoided. When our tire actually blew, we were actually on an overpass. We were over a bridge, and we missed that guardrail. When I went back and looked at it before the state troopers made me get back on the bus, we missed the guardrail by less than 3 feet. I mean, had it blown 10 feet earlier, I mean, there's just so many things that could have made this something that would be, something that would affect our team for a very, very long time. We're just so fortunate that we're all okay and can focus on baseball and not something way more serious.
When everything came to a halt, when the bus finally came to a stop there, and everybody had a chance to kind of catch a breath and realize what happened, how did the players react? How did your coaches react?
Yeah, I mean, everyone was pretty shook. We had, our trainer Mike actually went up and down the aisles, making sure everybody was okay, because everybody got thrown pretty good, and a couple guys had hit their heads, and we were monitoring them. And our biggest thing was just relief, because it just felt like it was like a scene from a movie. It just felt like forever to get that bus to stop, and it just looked like an inevitable flip. And obviously, I wanted to make sure the bus driver was all right. He was a little bit teary-eyed, obviously. It was a lot that happened real quick. And then it was just a matter of, all right, what do we do now to make sure we're in a safe place? Because we were only a couple feet off of Highway 81 now, with tractor trailers flying by. So we were able to get the highway patrol there and block off cones. And now it's how do you get 35 guys up to the next exit as safe as you can, after 6 o'clock on a Sunday when everybody's closed. And Abbott bus, who was out of Roanoke, helped us out a ton and was able to send a bus and get our guys and take us to North Carolina, where Jeans was able to pick us up from there. So we ended up switching buses 3 times, but we're able to get home late last night. And just once again, it was just a sigh of relief once we realized that nobody was in any serious, no one got seriously hurt.
And you told me what, all things considered, it ended up not being as late as you might have thought. You got back on campus, what, about 1 a.m.?
Yeah, about 1 a.m. And that's simply that we were able to get a hold of somebody at Abbott's, that's not easy to do on a Sunday night. They just happened to have a bus driver coming back through, and he was actually going home. He had been driving all weekend and volunteered to come pick us up, and forever be grateful for him and Abbott's for doing that for us.
Yeah, it's not politically correct a lot of times to talk about things that God does for you in these days and times. But as you're telling the story and you start detailing everything that could have happened and didn't happen, and the things that did happen instead of something else happening, you can only ascertain that a higher power did have its hand on you.
Amen to that. And we'll never be scared to thank God and thank Jesus for his protection over my team. I don't care about being politically correct about that.
Amen, brother.
And I'll tell you, I only posted things on Twitter not for attention, simply because that's the quickest way for me to get to all of our parents and let them know everything's okay. And that's a whole lot quicker than calling 35 parents. And you start bragging on God and things can happen. And I looked at it this morning. I had no idea it had kind of went viral online. The story of it, it had 131,000 impressions on Twitter, which is nothing short of incredible. And of course, then you get the ugly stuff out of it, where people are saying ugly stuff on Twitter. People have no idea who they are across the country, and that's just the world we live in. I'll stick with thank you, Lord, for taking care of our program.
Absolutely. We're visiting with Brett Harker, the Furman baseball coach. Now, on top of all of that, the guys have exams that start this week, right?
They do, and that's a tough break right there. But that's kind of how life is. You got to roll with the punches and buckle down and do your job. And our guys are prepared. We have some of the best student athletes in the country, and we have a little different bus rides. Our guys are back there with laptops and studying and getting projects done, and they're well prepared for it. I'll tell you that much.
I don't want to keep you away from your fort building and Dick Van Dyke watching too long with Emma, because I know how demanding she is of your time. But but just from a baseball perspective, very quickly, to get a couple of thoughts in there, were able to get out of town prior to all of this happening and salvage a game in the series yesterday. But even in the first two losses, as I talked about earlier, I thought there were some positive things. I mentioned Jordan Beatson's performance before he was pulled, and then some signs of guys in your lineup maybe starting to finally come around a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, the bottom line is, I thought about this morning, we went 2-2 on a week where we played all road games. And look, we want to win them all, and we want to stop losing series in the SoCon. Trust me, we want that more than anybody. But sometimes you got to look, step back and look at the big picture and realize that we went 2-2, playing 4 road games against some quality opponents and guys that can really swing the bat, which means that we swung the bat well too. And, with the exception of Friday night, I think that's the best we've swung the bats all year with our approach at the plate. 1 through 9 guys stepping up. I think some guys are getting hot with Elmi and Jabari getting hot pretty well too. I think that we're headed in the right direction. And, excited to see our offense start to take shape here. I know it's a little bit late, but you always got to play your best baseball in May anyway. And, once we start getting a couple of these arms back with these guys that are stepping up on top of that, I really do think we're going to be just fine.
Tomorrow night, the annual versus cancer game against South Carolina at Fluor Field, and it's another reminder of a cause bigger than baseball. And of course, tomorrow is Den's Day. We're going to talk about that in a little bit with people, alumni and supporters being encouraged to donate tomorrow to all aspects of the university. But this versus cancer thing is something that the players themselves coordinate, take charge of, and again, another reminder that while baseball, it's important and it's fun, there are other things that trump baseball.
Yeah, you're right. And what's really cool about this is 100% player driven. The coaches have nothing to do with it except for raising money ourselves. That the players completely coordinate this. They set up their own web pages. They raise the money. This has nothing to do with the coaches. And I think that's really, really neat that 18 to 22-year-olds take so much pride in doing something that, has nothing to do with them. It's simply helping the, kids with cancer and helping a bigger cause. And it's been a special thing for our program for quite some time to take a lot of pride in it. And, it's not very hard for me to shave my head. I do it every Monday, but these guys got some good looking hair. And for them to do that united as a team after the game, shave their heads and do it for raising money for childhood cancer. And another really cool thing, they go on Monday nights and they go visit the local hospital at GHS and go visit cancer patients in the children's section. They do all this on their own. I think that is just a testament to what our kids, where their hearts are, and I just could not be more proud of that.
Yeah, I tried to craft it during the broadcast yesterday to have people think back to when they were 18 to 22, or if they now have 18 to 22-year-olds of their own, and know how much those kids think of themselves and their looks, and getting guys to be willing to shave their heads for a bigger cause like this. I think it's phenomenal.
I do too, and it's a fun night for our university. Obviously, they're doing the unveiling of the Furman on Deck at Fluor Field And it's just another example of our relationship with the Greenville Drive and how good, our relationship between the Drive and Furman is. And it's going to be a big night. So I want to play well. We're going to start Jake Crawford tomorrow. It won't be a typical start because Jake won't be able to go 6 or 7, but I think he'll give us a good start there, and then we'll go to the bullpen from there and hopefully take care of business against the Gamecocks. We'd love to have a series sweep against them this year with us playing so well at Founders Park earlier this year.
All right. Well, listen, Brett, go back and spend some quality time with Emma, and we will see you at the ballpark tomorrow.
Sounds good, Dan.
All
Thank
right,
you.
man. Thank you, buddy. That is Brett Harker. Thank God that he and everybody else on that bus was safe. And, again, a tip of the cap to our bus driver, Richard, who is just phenomenal. He was, from all reports, the star of that show when things went south in a hurry yesterday afternoon. All right, we'll take a break and come back and get into some other things in the final segment of the program. This is the Dan Scott Show for a Monday, and we'll return in just a moment.
Holding, number 79, defense, first down. I'm also holding a party tonight.
Great call by the official. Looks like we've got another flag on the field.
Holding, a Pepsi. Necessary refreshment.
Hey, Ted, bring some of that Pepsi to my party.
Pepsi and the NFL. Welcome to the Fun Doesn't End Zone.
The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville. When the Furman baseball team goes on the road, it travels safely, comfortably, and with the latest technology with Jeans Tours and Charters. Jeans has been a Furman favorite for decades and has serviced Furman baseball for over 20 years. Take it from head coach Brett Harker. Book your next road trip with Jeans. Jeans Tours and Charters online at jeansbussvc.com or call 864-242-1673. Jeans Tours and Charters, servicing the upstate since 1980.
If you've been sidelined by an injury, the St. Francis Sports Medicine Team is here 24/7 to get you back on the field. Our highly trained network of physicians, athletic trainers, and physical therapists treat all types of sports-related injuries, even those that don't occur from playing a sport. Call the St. Francis Hurt Line at 675-HU-RT for priority appointments or at-home advice. Again, that's 675-HU-RT.
All right, welcome back to the show. It is the final segment, 10:43. Hope that your day is going well. Need to take just a moment to talk to you about our friends at Security Complete. They are my security company that takes care of my family. They can provide the same high level of service for your family and your business as well. Top-of-the-line technology, locally owned. You know the people that you're dealing with, and they've got over 40 years experience, the two main guys do, combined in the industry. So the customer service is going to be outstanding with the technology they have and everything else. You just can't go wrong with Security Complete. They've got this offer that I've been telling you about, the basic free system starting at $599, and you buy it, you own it, and you get everything that you see on the screen there, the keypad, the sensors, everything else. No long-term agreements. You can cancel at any time. You see the low monitoring rates there starting at $29.95. There is one level up at $34.95. And basically, I know you're saying, man, $600, that's a lot of money. Well, you have to look at it from this standpoint. No long-term agreements. You don't have to sign a contract. The way companies get you is by, they'll give you, quote unquote, or lease the equipment to you, but then they get you into contracts of 2, 3, even 5 years and that's where they make their money. So by doing this, you own the system. It's not proprietary. It's not going to be locked out. You can use it if you decide at some point to go to another company. You won't, but you could if you decided to. You own it. Nobody's going to come and take it away from you. And then because of the fact that there's no contract and these low prices, you're going to save over the course of, let's say, 5 years between $1,200 and $1,800. That's where the savings comes in. So think about that and give Security Complete a call. That's just one offer they have out there. I highly suggest that you get to them and see what they can do for you. I am completely satisfied. I would not steer you wrong. Security Complete, you see the number 546-0360, 864-546-0360. Also on Facebook and Twitter, Security Complete. Tell them that you heard about them here on the show. All right, as we continue, I spent some time during the Saturday broadcast on my soapbox again, and I had two choices. I could go back and pull that out in 2 half innings and kind of edit all of the play-by-play out of it to try to give you the feel of what I was talking about, or I could just come back here and do it live on Monday, and I decided to go in that direction. There was a situation, actually there were 2 situations this weekend, both by the same umpire who caused a problem. But one was a balk that was called that shouldn't have been called and ultimately was reversed when a VMI player tried to steal home with Heath Hawkins on the mound. They got the out at the plate, and there was let's get a FaceTime call from Security Complete. I don't know what that's about. I've just lost my train of thought. Anyway, bottom line is there was an argument that ensued, and they got everything finally straightened away. But it brought back to mind again the ludicrous rule that the Southern Conference has, that if a manager or a coach or a player is ejected from a game, then they are suspended for the next game. And then if they're ejected again, they're suspended for 2 games, and so on and so forth. And it really highlights what happened this weekend, what happened at Latham Stadium earlier this year, highlights what a bad position that puts coaches in, and what an uncomfortably authoritative position that puts umpires in. And what I mean by that is this. Earlier this season, Brett Harker was thrown out of a game by Jay Furlong. The next time Jay Furlong umpired for the Paladins, he was behind home plate at Latham Stadium just 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he was an absolute jerk to Brett Harker the entire game. The scoreboard went out. He would not show the count, display the count like umpires do when he was asked. He would not do it for Brett. He did not do it so the press box could see it. And when conversations would go on between the dugouts, he was obviously being very flip and very arrogant, and treated Brett that way because he knew that Brett could not come out and really seriously challenge him on anything, because if he tossed Brett again, Brett would be suspended for 2 games. That gives the umpires way, way too much of an advantage in the situation. Baseball is a different game than other sports. Those interchanges are part of the game, and that's one of the reasons that I don't like everything they've done with replay in Major League Baseball, because I think it's taken some of that out. I think part of the game is umpires and managers having those conversations, having those arguments, the animation that goes with it sometimes, and you grow up with it that way. That's part of the fabric of the game and has been for well over 100 years. So baseball's different from that standpoint. And I know the Southern Conference is saying, well, it's about sportsmanship. And I'm all for great sportsmanship. Don't get me wrong. And if you got a coach who's continuously getting thrown out of games, then okay, maybe something needs to be done with it. But to give that much of an advantage to an umpire, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. And the rule is a bad one for baseball, and I wish our athletic directors in this conference would get together and would put some pressure on the league and say, look, this has got to be changed because of the inequity in the relationship, what it does between player and manager. And then here's the other thing. I found this out this week. As a matter of fact, I found it out over the weekend in a conversation via text with somebody. If a coach gets thrown out of a non-conference game, and say a midweek game on a Tuesday, and they've got a conference game coming up on Friday, they don't have to sit out the conference game. They sit out the next non-conference game. Well, that is selective sportsmanship, isn't it? We'll only make you say, it doesn't matter. Hey, it's not a hard and fast rule. You get this one done, and you have to sit out the next one. No, if it's a non-conference game, we'll make you sit out the next non-conference game, but not if you've got a conference game coming up next. I just don't like it. I don't like the rule. I don't like the application. I understand the intent, but it's misapplied, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as the old saying goes. Let's just be honest about it. The athletic directors in this conference have got to get together and, in effect, force a reexamination and a change of this rule, because it really puts a coach under subjection to an umpire, and that's not what that rule should do. That's not the way baseball is played. That's not part of the game. Sportsmanship is fine. I am 100% behind the conference when it comes to demanding good sportsmanship, but I'm not for putting a coach under subjection to an umpire, and that's what this rule does. And we saw it play out here at Latham Stadium just a few weeks ago. So take that for what it's worth. That's pretty much going to do it for today. We will come back tomorrow with more. Dave Glenn will make his final appearance before August on Wednesday's program. Adam Herendeen, the women's tennis coach, will be with us on Thursday to talk about their latest Southern Conference championship, second straight, and the program's 18th overall, and they're heading to the NCAAs. All of that good stuff coming up as we continue on the program this week, and then it's baseball this weekend down in Charleston at the Citadel. Tomorrow night, we'll talk more about the festivities at Fluor Field during tomorrow's show broadcast, so we hope that you'll stand by and be with us for that. Until then, we're going to put a wrap on it for this rainy Monday and hope that you have a great day moving forward. Until tomorrow, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you and so long, everybody. This is the Furman IMG Sports Network. Actually, it's not. It's a Dan Scott show, and my iPad froze on me, so I don't know what's going on. Bye. We'll see you later.